3 days passed before Chidi said a word to him. He would enter a room, and Obina would already be sitting in it, and the young man would simply turn around and walk back out, quiet as smoke. No insults, no shouting, just absence, which was somehow worse. Adaize watched it all with the patience of a woman who had already survived the hardest thing. She cooked, she swept the compound, she placed food before both of them at the same table and pretended not to notice that her husband and her son ate like two strangers sharing a bus. On the fourth morning, Obina was sitting beneath the old udala tree at the edge of the compound when Chidi finally came. He did not sit. He stood with his arms folded, looking down. "She waited for you," Chidi said. No greeting, no title, just words dropped like stones into still water. Obina looked up slowly. "I know." "Do you?" Chidi's jaw tightened. That jaw that was so much like his own, it was almost painful to look at. There were years she had nothing. Years the roof leaked and she patched it herself. Years she went to sleep hungry so I could eat. And you were, where? Building your fortune? Obina did not defend himself. He simply nodded. "I used to ask her," Chidi continued, his voice beginning to crack at the edges. "I used to ask her every night when I was small, 'Mama, where is my father? Does he know my name? Does he know I exist?'" The compound went very still. And every single time, Chidi stopped. He pressed his lips together hard. Every single time, she said the same thing. She said, "Your father is working so that you will never know this kind of hunger." Obina closed his eyes. "I hated you for a long time," Chidi said quietly. "I built a whole person out of hating you. I told myself that when you returned, if you returned, I would have nothing for you, not even anger, just nothing." He finally sat down. Not close, but he sat. The udala tree threw shade across both of them. After a long silence, Obina reached into the pocket of his robe and pulled out a small worn cloth pouch, the same one from all those years of counting coins in the dark. He turned it over in his hands slowly. "I almost killed you," he said. Chidi turned sharply. "The night I came back," Obino's voice was low and steady, the way a man speaks when he has rehearsed a confession 1,000 times. "I saw your head in your mother's lap, and He stopped. "I reached for my machete." The silence between them became a living thing. "What stopped you?" Chidi asked. "A dead man's advice." Obina looked up at the sky. "My master died 6 months ago, but his voice, it was louder than my rage." Chidi stared at his father for a long time. He looked at the worn cloth pouch. He looked at the lines carved deep into the man's face. He looked at hands that had hauled timber and counted coins and nearly committed the worst mistake a man could make. Then, slowly, something in his chest began to loosen. "Chidi said you used to sing," Chidi said suddenly. "When you were young. She said you had a terrible voice, but you sang anyway." Obina blinked. Then, for the first time since returning home, he laughed. A short, rusty, broken thing, like a door that had been shut too long being forced open. Chidi did not laugh, but the corner of his mouth moved. It was enough. Inside the house, Adaize stood at the window. She had heard everything. She pressed her hand flat against the clay wall to steady herself and whispered a prayer so old and so private that even the walls did not understand it. But God did.